minorities. Embracing Palestinian Israelis. If they want to be called Palestinian Israelis, fine. Remember the transparency I talked about? Imperfect. Zemayish. We're not going to try to spin it anymore with Judea and Samaria. Or, those might be our words, but they're not their words. So, embracing Palestinian Israelis is ongoing commitment to diversity with big time room for improvement. But they have a relative advantage. Okay? Bless you. Palestinians in turmoil. This is the $64,000. Who can solve this? But how Israel can at least help the individual suffering and maintain the toughness and commitment to Israeli security. Remember, there's a perception amongst our opponents or people that are not favorable to our Jewish state that they think that we are insensitive, that we are intransigent. If that's the word, intransigent? Is that the word?
Intransigent.
Yeah. Thank you. So much for a Columbia University degree. Well, you got better bang for your buck than I did, Aaron. So that's the perception, and I don't need surveys for $200,000 to tell me that. Sometimes perception is reality. Okay, bless you again. Thank you. But you know what they say, you have to repeat a message for it to be effective. And your season is certainly very consistent. It's simple, it's direct. I like it. The region and world in disarray. How Israel can demonstrate in actions, because actions sometimes are not just words, not just too many words, that's a bad thing, a working illustration of a different, pragmatic, and caring Middle East. Different, pragmatic, and caring Middle East, a tolerant Middle East. Last one here is the system, that we need to integrate select government officials in the new structure to launch an asymmetrical propaganda campaign. In other words, where propaganda, I don't want you going out of here thinking, oh, let's talk about propaganda, let's talk about propaganda, let's talk about... Although, I think there is time to say, if someone challenges us, so you want to do propaganda for Israel? Absolutely right. I believe that we have a great product, and we have great smart people, and it's in my interest, and the interest of the country, to showcase that. And I do it in a completely undefensive way. I am open about it. Go see a movie. Did anyone see Thank You for Smoking?
Yes.
Okay. Remember the Nick Naylor character?
Yeah.
He has the worst job in the world. He's the lobbyist for big tobacco. But you know what? He's completely comfortable with his position. He's just good at talking. That's what he does. And he believes in the product. And he has an argument for everything.
Yeah, but he's reprehensible.
Less so than one might think, and much less so than the noble journalist who interviews him, from the lawyers, from the doctors. He's actually very honest about what he does. Anyway, so the system. So fighting in asymmetrical terms, like we saw in Lebanon, we also need quicker response, decisions made in the field, not throwing it back to Jerusalem, which is a dead end. Next. Okay. Last slide, I promise, because I'm seeing some yawns. So there are a lot of people. I take this emotionally, right? I take it for that. You can tell. Anyone that's engaged in this Hasbara thing has a love-hate relationship with it. And it doesn't. And I talked to my friend Asher last night. He's having a good snore. Many Israelis who don't what's this Hasbara thing? It's not, what is it? Come on, you don't need this. It's almost a throwback to Golda Meir. We don't need it. My perspective is much from more of a business perspective in part. It's sort of like asking, does Coca-Cola really need to advertise? Everyone drinks Coke anyway. What do they need to do anything with marketing? We always need, I think, to communicate more effectively and tell our story, to bring in more investment, to bring in more people, to bring in more prosperity, for tons of reasons that I can elaborate on. So that's my position. So people would say, okay, fine, you got off, you took a few digs at bureaucrats, you shared some things of what you're thinking, but not practical. Can't work. My biggest retort for that would be the following analogy on AIPAC. What AIPAC did in lobbying, we need to do in marketing. And part of that is basing it somewhere else, but also in Israel. Okay? Part of that is bringing on new people on the bus and kicking out, as the analogy says, some other people from our bus. But it's too important not to create a new paradigm around, given the circumstances that we're living in, and given the wonderful opportunities that we have to convey messages that were unthought of, inconceivable during the days where I had to fight to get cable TV at 800 2nd Avenue at the Israeli consulate. Okay? So we have to embrace that. We have to brand it. We have to grow it. We have to get partners. We have to get funding. And we have to present supporters of Israel with a new vision of how the country can communicate its amazing appeal to the world. Because I think the product is by and large awesome. There are some problems, but if we admit those problems and we're transparent about it, then we diffuse them. And they don't grow to haunt us. Okay? So, spoke too much, went over my time, but thank you all.